cow. That is one maddening music going with a maddening starting of this week, guys. Holy cow, that is for sure. And as is, let me fix the Discord here. Mike, you there?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's been quite the maddening week. As I picked a good song out for the start of this week's show with "Start Raving Mad" by Technoax. But
Yeah, man.
what's
I-
man, why don't we go ahead and get that other stuff out of the way, like your suggestion, before we start talking about the big main event?
Sure, before we get into the open carry madness, there's a few news stories that have come up over the last couple days that are just sticking in my craw. So, first thing, Bunny, pull up that article, the one from the New York Times, so people can see what I'm talking about.
Article? Are you sure you're talking about an article here, man?
Yeah, it's the New York Times story. Remember, or no, the L.A. Times story about the prisons costing more than Harvard. It's in the
Okay, yeah, you
Discord.
had me confused there because I was going, I'm pretty sure that was LA Times.
Yeah, it's L.A. Times. Yeah. Oops.
All right, we are looking at it, published of June last year.
All right. So here's the thing, right? They just announced that it's costing the good state of California $75,560 a year to house prisoners. This is just completely antithetical to logic and reason, people. I mean, let's think about it for a second. Like, California has per capita, it imprisons more people than any state, or sorry, any country in Central Europe, all the little Central European countries. It's absolutely freaking ridiculous. To give an example of the markup that the taxpayers have to pay for people to be in prisons, my very good friend Robert West, aka Uncle Bob, had to get orthopedic shoes in Pelican Bay. He had to get soft-soled shoes. There weren't anything special. They were just shoes with a soft sole. They cost the citizens of California a whopping $1,500. Okay, it's just the quintessential example of fascism. Please, people, do check out the link to that article, and it just makes me insane. Okay, the whole mentality for penitents and prisons in America is just completely insane. It all started, the genesis of this idea that people should be punished in prison started way back in the 1800s when a guy by the name of Jeremy Bentham invented something called the panopticon. The panopticon was basically an octagonal shaped prison where the prison cells had 5 walls, and the wall facing the center of the octagon was just open to open air, and there was a lighthouse in the center of the prison. And the idea, there was black, blackened glass, so the prisoners couldn't see who was in the lighthouse, and there was snipers in there. And the whole idea was to modify the behavior of the prisoners by making them constantly feel like a sniper could shoot them and kill them at any minute. And Jeremy Bentham was what he called himself was a utilitarian social reformer, and his idea was to use architecture as a means to manipulate behavior. And our entire penal system is based on his ideas. So please do Google the Panopticon and Jeremy Bentham's utilitarian social reforming movement and all that fun stuff, and you'll learn about how just backwards and wrong our entire penal system is. So now that I've gotten that off my chest, I will just leave some links in the description on this video of stuff that's in my most recent Steemit articles that I wanted to share, but I don't want to talk about them. Just check out the articles. They're pertaining to this whole Emma Gonzalez and David Hogg and this whole using children as ideological mercenaries for the Democratic Party, and that's making me insane too. Using the blood of children as a psychological cudgel to force people to regress into literal retards. But yeah, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about Almost Park, Bunny.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to quickly add real fast before we hop on that. Did you hear over in Portland, that student walkout thing that happened a couple weeks back?
Yes, I do.
Did you hear about the Portland teacher that had a bunch of the students leave school grounds and do a die-in at a busy intersection?
No, I didn't, but I do. I did do some research on the people that paid for and funded the March for Our Lives here in Portland, Oregon, and they're actually Democratic Party insiders. So it's not a grassroots children's movement, a high school students movement. This is all a contrivancy and political manipulation by the mainstream left-wing political ideologues. And I'll leave a link to that under this video when I put it up there on YouTube. During the broadcast, I'll put a link to me going through how this is all a contrivancy here in Portland, Oregon by the Democratic Party. You know, it's just disgusting and morally and ethically repugnant and just unethical the way these kids are being used.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with I'm going to switch it back to the actual video here. Let me get this loaded up, but I'm going to pause real fast. This is the video that is blowing up across the face of activism of the open carry and also just like of exercise of civil rights here. And do you have this is probably the first time you're seeing it, right, Mike? Or
yeah, man, it's the first time. Well, I've seen I've watched the arrest of CJ, and that's about it.
Okay. So it's going to be quite interesting with this video and then this what is said after the arrest. So let's go ahead and get started here.
You might want to put your gun away. I spoke to your chief yesterday.
Hey, down on the ground. You lay down on the ground, motherfucker. Lay down on the
Hey, whoa, keep.
You're the only dangerous motherfucker out here. Lay down on the ground. Come on,
You're committing a felony right now, officer. You are committing a felony. That is an armed terrorist threat. This is Olmos Park, guys. Olmos Park, once again. Once again, Olmos Park. Why you got an AR-15 out?
Get away from him.
Articulate the law if broken and I will...
I am.
Okay. Are you here to hurt anybody?
Negative.
You have a gun as well?
Of course I do.
Okay. Get away then.
Now, what crime is being committed here?
I will get down.
What crime is being committed here? So you got an AR-15 in hand because a man is lawfully carrying. This guy over here's got a pistol because he's lawfully carrying. How you doing? Oh, these cops are overreacting to a man lawfully carrying a firearm. We told you guys you were going to learn. Today's your education. Today's your education, Corporal. At some point, you're going to realize no crime is being committed.
In the state of Texas, only
This guy's got an AR-15 in his hand right now.
can the House and Senate pass any law that pertains to the penal code.
Here, I'm gonna
Which means
open carry
under
mine just in case.
1-08, no subdivision of the law can pass